Welcome everyone this morning to our audit committee. I guess it's the first virtual audit committee in the history of ETSU. I think we're going to have several firsts today. And I really appreciate everyone making the effort to be here. I believe we need a roll call vote or a roll call in attendance. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Adam, you want to walk us through that, please?
Yes, sir. Chairman Golden, because trustees are participating remotely by Zoom, I must run through a series of questions before calling roll. Additionally, because we have trustees participating remotely, should any votes be taken, they must be taken by roll call. Trustees, in accordance with Tennessee Code 8-44-108, Section C3, to ask if you could answer for the record. I will ask each question once and follow so that you may respond. First, are you able to clearly hear so you can participate in this meeting? Trustee Grisham?
Yes, I'm present. I'm here.
Trustee Ramsey? Trustee Nicewonger?
Present.
And Chairman Golden?
Yes.
Trustees, for the record, can you please identify any persons in the room with you from which you're participating in this meeting? Trustee Grisham?
Yes. I had to get my chai tea.
Trustee Ramsey? Trustee Nicewonger?
Solo.
And Chairman Golden?
Yep, no one but me.
Chairman, I do not detect a physical quorum present. However, a quorum does exist by the inclusion of members participating by electronic means. In accordance with Tennessee Code 8-44-108, Section B2, I would offer up to the board the following reasons that necessitate this meeting. This meeting is a regularly scheduled quarterly audit committee meeting. Business critical to the operations of the institution are slated for this meeting, and due to the COVID-19 virus outbreak and subsequent recommendations from the Centers for Disease Control, as well as Governor Bill Lee, social distancing measures and limit on group gatherings must be observed. For these reasons, I contend that participation by a quorum of the board members by electronic or other means of communication is necessary. Chairman, I would ask that a motion be made for a roll call vote and a roll call vote be taken for the determination on the necessity of holding this meeting. An affirmative vote will signify the necessity does exist for this meeting to proceed, and a dissenting vote will signify that the necessity does not exist for this meeting to continue.
Okay. So due to the fact that we're not physically present together, we need a motion and an approval to have this meeting virtually. Do I have a motion?
I make the motion that we have the meeting virtually.
All right.
Second.
All right. Let's have a roll call vote.
Trustee Grisham?
Yes, and present.
Trustee Ramsey? Trustee Nicewonger?
Yes.
Chairman Golden?
Yes. All right. Very good. All right. First item on the agenda after that is the approval of the minutes, February 21st. It seems like a year ago that we met in it's funny how days are going longer these days. All of you received a copy of the minutes in the prior to the meeting, opportunity review. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion, additions, corrections? Hearing none. Adam, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes, sir. Trustee Grisham?
Yes.
Trustee Ramsey? Trustee Nicewonger?
Yes.
And Chairman Golden?
Yes. All right. Next on the agenda, Becky, we've got several things to review. We have an annual review of the charters. If you want to just kind of walk us through that, please.
Okay. Yes, included in your materials was the most recent audit committee charter that was approved by the Board of Trustees. And this charter was also approved by the Comptroller of the Treasury of the state of Tennessee in September 2017. The most recent internal audit charter is also included in your material that was approved by the Board of Trustees in April 2018. My office has reviewed these documents and has not identified any corrections or additions needed. to these. And I don't know if you all have noted any, then we would need to revise it and present it at the next audit committee meeting. But our office did not notice any changes that needed to be made to either document.
Okay. So my understanding, the way this one works is we review it, and if we need to make changes, then it would require a motion and acceptance after review of the changes, but we don't need to do that if we have no changes. We're just reviewing. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone on the committee have, I took a look at it. I thought it still looked good. No changes since last year that I could identify. But that doesn't mean that there's no changes needed. It just means I didn't see any. Anyone see anything that they wanted to change?
Not me.
All right. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the annual review of policies.
Okay. We have two policies in our office, the internal audit policy and the preventing and reporting fraud, waste, and abuse policy. The audit committee is required to review these annually. My office completed a review of these policies and did not identify any changes needed for either one of those policies. There also is the annual review of the conflict of interest policy. It's not an internal audit policy, but it's a policy of the university. As of right now, the conflict of interest policy that we are following is still that of TBRs. There's been a draft conflict of interest policy that has been presented, and it's my understanding it's in Jeremy Ross's office right now. He felt like there was some revisions that needed to be made, but currently we're still under TBR until that policy goes through the process.
Okay. And my understanding of that one, since it's an active TBR policy, that THEC shouldn't have an issue with our using it.
Right. And then we also, the audit committee is supposed to review annually the university's code of conduct. Prior to focus, the university or TBR did not have a code of conduct. And I've had discussions with human resources. I talked to Jeremy Ross today, the other day, and we have a meeting scheduled to see where we need to go in order to develop a code of conduct for the university.
Okay. So on that one, I mean, we've discussed it before in the audit committee around code of, in fact, I think last audit committee meeting, we had a broader discussion just around compliance. So for the audit committee members, I think sometimes it's easier to work on a deadline than no deadline. And I'm not sure we've given guidance to the university on a deadline for when we expect to go ahead and see a finalized conflict of interest policy and a code of conduct. What's your thinking?
Well, I feel like the conflict of interest policy, I mean, we do have a draft in place that's being
Right.
reviewed, and it's in HR right now. The code of conduct, my understanding was Ashley Leonard had started that process. I don't know where it's at. That's what the meeting's going to be. I'm going to discuss at the meeting next week to see kind of where that's at. But it's starting from scratch too. I mean, there was no
Right.
prior policy for it.
Well, I mean, Scott, Dorothy, what are your thoughts on just giving them some guidance on an expectation of when this is done? Because it's just human nature. It's important, but they're probably dealing with a lot of important things. And I just think things get done a little better when we're working.
I would say we should have it for the next meeting.
Okay.
I agree with Scott because that's an important part of our, I guess, our meeting and the university as a whole. So yeah, possible, if that's possible.
Becky, could you, President Nolan, do you have just a view of this? I know to draft one from scratch would be a fair amount of work, but there's other templates out there of other universities' usage. So, we could probably have at least a really good draft by next meeting, if not fully done. What
Chairman Golden, we can have it to you before then. We will push to have this wrapped up by the close of the fiscal year. So start of July 1, we'll be in a position to have documentation to this committee that we can then begin to move forward as we start the new fiscal year. As Ms. Lewis noted, the individual who was drafting all of this and leading a lot of our policy revisions announced her departure to take a position in Asheville, North Carolina, right before COVID. I'm not making any excuses. I'm just giving you context. So with the departure of the lead staff person, this one kind of was moved to the side a little bit, but we will pick it up, have a draft complete, and bring it back to you before the start of the fiscal year.
Okay, well, I think we're sensitive to that. You've got one or two other things going on, and the person that was working on it is no longer here, so it's understandable. But just wanted to give you a sense of the committee on. Sometimes that just helps.
Now, and I appreciate that, and thank you for the leadership. As you're aware, we have a broad state structure that we are moving through the processes associated with that structure. So it'd be helpful on a number of fronts for this work to be wrapped up.
Perfect. All right. Becky, the annual review of policies, same bucket, right? Unless we have something else. So just open it to the floor of the audit committee. Anything that you saw in the drafts that you wanted changed?
No,
All right.
not on my end.
All right. Seeing none, let's go ahead and jump to the audit plan. Becky, your favorite topic.
Okay. We have added to the audit plan 2 audits or projects. One is an audit. We had received a request from the dean of the Clemmer College to audit the Center of Excellence in Math and Science Education. Currently, the center is a collaboration between the College of Arts and Sciences and the College of Education, and plans are in place to now add the College of Business and Technology to that center. And they wanted us to do a review to make recommendations to improve their operations, to make sure the processes are flowing the way they should and not duplicating effort. So that was what we were asking to be added to the audit plan. Also, Martha, my associate director, has been asked to serve on the QAR for Georgia Southern. As of right now, that's supposed to happen in the fall, but with COVID-19, that could be pushed.
We'll see. Now, is that the first QAR participation from you or someone on your staff?
Yes, we thought it was a good idea. So we have put both our names with the Association of College University Auditors that we would like to serve on those. And then they have a master list of individuals at college universities who are willing to serve on QARs. And they contacted us to see if one of us would like to serve on that.
I think that's excellent. Being able to do the quality assurance review of another institution, particularly in another state, I think is a wonderful opportunity to do an informal benchmark, as well as bring back just observations. And my guess is one of the things you'll see is you should feel really good. It's no statement on Georgia Southern. I'm sure they do a great job, but as you do these, you'll see that maybe we take some things for granted that we do a really good job of. So I appreciate, Becky, I know that's going to mean a little bit of workload shift maybe for you, and President Nolan, I appreciate your support of that sort of an exercise. I'm a believer that QARs are a good thing. Get out and see what others are doing now and again. So do we need a formal approval of the revisions?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll do this in the form of a motion. Do I have a motion to approve the revisions to the 1920 audit plan?
So move.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none. Dr. Green, could you lead us through a roll call vote on this?
Sure. Trustee Grisham,
Yes.
Trustee Ramsey, Trustee Nicewonger,
Yes.
Chairman Golden.
Yes. All right. Becky, this is really your show. Let's go ahead and talk about the audit work performed in the last 2 months. You've had it. I was impressed how much you've gotten done since we've met last, and especially with COVID bearing down. So go ahead if you would walk us through.
Thank you. I apologize. My cat's sitting on my notes right now, so.
Did you tell Dr. Green someone else is present? We might need to get your cat in a minute here.
Hey, speaking of someone else present, this is Kelly Wolf. I apologize for joining you late there.
Hey, Kelly, how you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Hope you are.
Yes, thank you very much. It's great to hear your voice. All right, Becky.
Okay, since from February to March 31st, we've issued 3 audit reports and 1 investigation. 2 of the audits had minimal or no issues. These were women's soccer expenditures and NACHA. And it's just to remind you, NACHA is an annual audit that we perform that's required by the bank that addresses web-based transactions. And the 3rd audit that we completed was a timekeeping audit for the Honors College. Hopefully this will be our last timekeeping audit that we'll perform. But the biggest issues we noted was that a non-exempt employee was working excessive amounts of unapproved overtime, and that the overtime was based on the need of the employee rather than the university. In addition, it was discovered that the employee did not always record hours worked and leave taken accurately, and management is now requiring written approvals to be obtained for overtime. And all discrepancies noted in the audit are to be submit to payroll for correction.
All right. Yeah, I think on timekeeping, I think when we've talked about that in the past, kind of our sense has been if they're an exempt employee, timekeeping audit really isn't within the risk parameters that I think that we think that internal audit time is valuably used, because they're an exempt employee, and you really entangle some other laws when you do timekeeping of an exempt employee. For non-exempt, I think we'd say if your risk assessment says that you should do some timekeeping audit work for non-exempt, that's, that you don't exempt yourself from if risk assessment says, but just make sure that you get to steer the ship, because it's a management function to make sure their people are showing up and producing work. And we feel that management shouldn't get to delegate that important core function to audit. But if you need to tick and tie because non-exempt employees, if there's an opportunity to investigate, that's particularly as we get a more robust compliance function, that's fine, particularly if it looks like fraud, waste, and abuse. Just when you do a risk assessment and it says that there's higher mountains to climb and you can't climb them because you're doing some of the other stuff, that's I think been our concern.
Right. Okay.
So I appreciate, and I know you'll appreciate being able to focus on the stuff that the risk assessment says is the best use of internal audits time.
Yes,
Right.
Definitely. We also, is there any questions on those normal audits before I go into the investigation?
Nope.
No.
Okay. We also completed an investigation within the Department of Internal Medicine. We were contacted by the Office of Research and Sponsored Program Administration with concerns related to a professor's NIH grant and failure to disclose relationship with foreign institutions. The issue identified was related to insufficient or non-disclosure of financial support, overcommitment of time, and inappropriate use of grant funds. ORSPA has begun putting controls and procedures in place and will continue to implement controls to ensure NIH and the university the university's policies are adhered to. And when this came about, ORSA did self-report this to NIH and has been working with NIH on this.
So your part of this is concluded?
Yes.
Okay. And when did that, excuse me, report get issued?
March the 24th.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Let's just jump to the, any discussion on the completed audit heat map?
No.
Okay. Well, you and your office have been incredibly busy, and especially given everything else that's been going on. I sure appreciate all the great work that you are doing with, obviously, your office is not the largest office on campus, so doing a lot with a relatively small number of people. So let's just take a quick look at the recommendations log status as of March 31st. Anyone see anything, or Becky, do you see anything that gives you pause or concern?
No, you know, individuals are still continuing to work on implementing the recommendations that we made. Sometimes some of our follow-ups take a significant amount of time, and some of them we can do fairly quickly. We don't, unfortunately, have enough time a lot of times to complete these. Sorry about that. As we would like to, but you know, we continue to follow up with everyone. We completed one in physical therapy since February, and we'll continue to work on those.
Okay. All right. And I guess one question, we see consistently greens and occasionally a blue, which is all wonderful, but no one's applying pressure to get you to change a deadline so they keep it green or blue. No, sir. Okay. All right. Just making sure. All right. Let's jump to the next review of audited financial statements for the Comptroller of the Treasury.
Okay. As you all know, the Comptroller of the Treasury does the financial statement audit for the university each year. And they have issued their audit report, which contain no findings. And they also issued an unmodified opinion, which is the opinion that you want to see when you get a financial statement audit. And so that entire report was included in your audit committee materials. And do you all have any questions on that or comments?
My comment is just congratulations to the university. I would be interested, but not so interested that anyone needs to do work on it, but I'd be interested in how many the audits that are this clean are issued by the state. I mean, I think that's a great reflection on those that are running internal controls and those that are auditing internal controls and those who are leading the university. And sometimes I think the public and perhaps even, you know, I am prone to be quick to point out an improvement opportunity and just kind of blow through good news. But this is a really big deal when you get something clean, especially this clean. And so President Nolan, you and your staff, congratulations. I mean, had something got written up, we would have lived with it. I'm sure improved it quickly, but you know, let's at least pause as much for a clean one as we would have had we flagged something. So congratulations.
Yes.
Mr.
Yeah.
Chair, members of the board, thank you for those comments. And this is a rarity in higher education and in state government that you have not only an audit with no recommendations and no findings, but in the exit committee that we held with the auditors a couple of months ago, literally there was an absence of conversation. They said that from a financial perspective and a management perspective, this was one of the best run institutions in the state, and we brought the conversation to a close. So I want to thank Dr. BJ King, Becky, and everyone who played a role in putting this together. But as you stated, no findings, no recommendations. It was one of the better meetings that we have had with the comptroller's office.
Yeah, this is the financial equivalent, I think, of winning your conference. There won't be as many parades, but there probably ought to be. So well done, truly well done.
Great job.
So on that note, sometimes because of things like that, that our audit committee meetings won't go quite as long as they otherwise would. I know we've got some items to discuss in executive session, and we certainly want to be concluded in time for there to be some time between audit committee and the board. So is there any other business to be brought before the audit committee? Hearing none, let's go ahead and go into executive session. Adam, keep me straight on this. My understanding is we're going to need to leave this meeting and then phone in to the using the instructions that you've given us in earlier in the week. Is that right?
That is correct. And if anyone needs me to flip them an email real quickly with that call-in information, I'm happy to do so.
Okay. All right. So let's we're not adjourning per se this meeting. If Ron were here, we don't need a motion. We're just going to go into executive session. So we'll see you. We'll see you in just a moment in the executive session portion as we dial in.